Feel it. All right, so we're live on Facebook and we're live on Instagram. And let's go. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome to the Betsy Hotel for our last reading of the Spring 2022 season. My name is Catherine Esposito Prescott. I'm one of the founders of Swim and editor-in-chief of Swim Every Day. And it is my great pleasure to bring to you two fantastic, fabulous, formidable female poets this evening. We're welcoming Michael E. de Armas, our local poet, and Erin Batiste, our visiting poet. Woohoo! So how we do things. I'm going to introduce them both, and then they'll read one right after the other. So get your tea, your wine, your kombucha, your hot water, your cappuccino, or all of them, and get ready to listen to some poems. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. So our first reader of the evening is Michael E. de Armas. She is a poet and mother whose poems have appeared or are forthcoming from Swim Every Day. Woohoo! Leon Literary Review, written here, and Louisiana Literature. She has an MFA in poetry from the program for writers at Warren Wilson College. She serves on the board of directors of Four Way Books and works with the book fair, that's the Miami Book Fair, in an advisory capacity. Tune in this fall. She lives in Coconut Grove, Florida, with her family, a cat, and a beehive. Our visiting writer this evening is Erin Batiste. She is an interdisciplinary poet and author of the chapbook Glory to All Fleeting Things, which is available as a PDF. She is a 2022 Tin House debut 40 writer-in-residence and our swim writer-in-residence. And Erin found us through the application process. So we're so grateful that she did. We're so happy to get to know her work and her as a writer. Additionally, she has received fellowships and generous support from Perry Plus, Breadloaf Writers Conference, Rona Jaffe Foundation, Poets and Writers Plus Reese's Book Clubs, The Readership, Barbara Deming Memorial Fund, Assets for Artists Plus Mass Mocha, Crosstown Arts, Cave Canem, and Callaloo. Batiste is a reader for The Rumpus and her own Pushcart Best New Poets and Best of the Net nominated work has exhibited in New York, is anthologized and appears internationally in Magma, Michigan Quarterly Review, and Wildness, among other decorated journals and anthologies. And we're so happy to have you both here today. So without further ado, let's please welcome Michael.
Just gotta get situated here for a minute. Okay. Happy National Poetry Month, everybody. Yay! So I am at the tail end of a cold and have some voice struggles that go with being at the tail end of a cold. So if I awkwardly sip my hot water, I hope you will forgive me. I would like to thank Swim for inviting me to read and for being a lighthouse for me as I am developing as a poet here in Miami. So I have heard Ada Limon read here, Marcy Calabretta Canciobella, Beth Ann Finley, Leslie Zanes, Angela Narcisco Torres, Nayoko Fujimoto, who very generously gave all of us her book, Glyph, which I brought with me because it, gives me some power, I think. They've all read, so I really feel wonderful to sort of be in this lineage. And I'd also like to thank the Betsy for creating a space for all of us writers and all of us artists to flourish and to help find each other so that we can build a community of the arts here in South Florida. I'd also like to thank my family who are here tonight. They don't always get to join in the Poetry Fund, so I'm very excited that they're here. All right, I'll get started. Beautiful girl, ancient thief. For Rilke, beauty is nothing but the beginning of terror. For Levis, terror is a state of complete understanding. Men have called me beautiful as if it were my name. For Kinko, all beauty depends upon disappearance. Men have called me beautiful as if it were my name. But whose terror is a state of complete understanding? On whose disappearance does my beauty depend? My skin shimmers, reflects love from men who demand I show them the thin membrane of my skin, their desire, their longing to be a boy naked like a girl, to be a boy naked like a girl, to be pulled from boyhood by a girl, my body extracting the animal that has caught the trail, the hound dog whooping before he chases the girl. What will collide is a part, my skin so finely tuned to appetite that I swell towards it. The she bubble, the he bubble thicken, the gather, release, the small clicking of the tide, clicking like a tongue pressed up against the back of teeth, rolls back into itself before reaching out again. The pressure and the tip of the wave to find, to touch, to coat the sand, the pressure to suffice in one moment where many moments will attempt and fail to touch the shore. The pressure and the tip of the wave squeezes out coins collected by boys who made bets while I learned to kiss. If I remove my clothes, the symbols, the systems, the astonishments I have worn, will I find my body underneath? My touch would not be gentle, meant as it is to dislodge everything that is not beauty. Every pattern where beauty got stuck, every man-eaten eddy would clear, leaving only beauty, prehistoric, verdant, lush, and endless forest ocean, breathing in and out in subterranean waves, a discovery, not a terror. What limits can pleasure have? No clay figurine, no creature dummy placed before beauty, no longing for annihilation, no abstract insight to replace my body with, no currency, no natural resource, but still oars, mined from deep within, leave me approaching extinction. I waltz myself to the jumping off place above the sacrificial well, the wrecked bottomless green water where I see my reflection. How I'm so tired of carrying myself around like luggage from one overhead compartment to another, unpacking only long enough to undress. My hair clotted with tears, I beat on my chest the most beautiful question, my one heart jumping as if to meet the moon, reaching through my chest wall to touch the moon, the girl I used to be, the girl I used to be, the moon, the gated off girl, bobbing behind the leafless trees in that silver pool of light I sailed, naked as a pearl. Next, I'm going to read a few poems about, let me get some water. That's better. About giving birth, motherhood, and couplehood. The first one deals with the difficult birthing room experience. This first poem is really a love poem, but it's got some difficulty to it. I just share that in case anyone else in the room also shares this sensitivity to material like this. Instead of Orpheus and Eurydice, your story had just gotten started, Allegra. Cracks appearing in the sidewalk, cracks opening for you to be born, cast out. The memory of your birth was also about to be born, the end of your story captured by the beginning. To retrieve you from the underworld, sliding down the rope of my body, I saw God's face in the void, God not knowing ahead of time to save you or not. And my descent disturbed that rigidity, the fatigue of so many decisions. I carried no lyre, had no song, except the melody I drained into. The fetal monitors one flat note. I descended until I had not even a spore to fling down to you, but I found you by the ley line of mother and child. Your subtraction had filled me with silence, but as you were taken away, an aroma of hope began to fill every emptiness. In the closing and opening of God's palms, you were made to fly, Allegra, gorgeous, frail, ignited little creature, whose wet wings fluttered towards me. obsessed for birthing. Archaeologists don't knit the earth together after a dig. I know, I saw how in the King Kong movies they undress not just Earth, but Jessica Lange. Kong's fertile island cradles riches, and Jessica Lange in 1976 or Linda Miller in 1967, espaliered, ready for excavation, deliver from the womb warm earth relics to save the expedition. Women bound, sacrificial, are offered to a monster who jumps out from the earth, that cross-section of women worn to sediment over time. And although Jessica Lange's breasts try to stay covered, the rough handling, the danger, undresses them by degrees until King Kong, with helicopters chasing him on a skyscraper, wreckage below him, just the honest trace of his passage. And Jessica Lange in 1976, or Linda Miller in 1967, or Fay Ray in 1933, in thin gowns with their limbs still in, draw pale and separate stars, and Kong's black sky hand and Kong and gowns are both as defenseless as babes. The switch. Yes, it's true, you can break things, I tell my younger daughter one night, who, after crying in her crib in our room without much result, turns the light switch on and off and so makes her need known to an entire city block. Even boats out in the bay see the wild flicker of her distress. Be careful, Gorda, you can break the light switch that way, which turns her need into a breakable object, which gives her incentive to break it. Christ, she can't even stand up yet. After she falls asleep, I ask myself, is she writing with the light switch her language in the middle of the night? Or is she translating what she's learned so far of ours? Albatross. Thank you to Swim for publishing this poem. My husband and I strained to see across Gustave Doré's engravings, the old story renewed before our eyes, through the centuries since the rhyme of the ancient mariner into the turbulent mar of marriage. I'm hunting down the structure beneath the structure of guilt, the albatross-sized bird blot, bird bruise on love, the bolt inside the mariner's bow, who hasn't aimed at desire to kill. The hollow bones inside the bird, and inside those bones the hollow, the keel of the bird and the keel of the ship, feathers and ocean and love and crossbows, the albatross, 4 feet tall with an 11-foot wingspan, enters the sky, huge, pale independence, never to return. Is death the founding encumbrance of love? Wings over dark water that will not let go, dark waters that let everything go. Wings that overshadow love. Corpse wings overshadow what we thought would be. My husband talks in his sleep, slurring anchor and angel into one word, not quite ache, nor rancor, nor strange. The word flits across my pillow and enters my dream. I want to touch him, but instead touch the albatross. The curve of her wings, so like the curve of the bow. The sound I make with her feathers in my mouth when I try to kiss him, so much like the exhalation of the ocean who permits no records. You killed her. No, you killed her. The borrowed death against our chests, we feared to let go, to put down, the dead bird we keep between us as we go. The wind gone out of her, the waves gone from her, the salt licked clean, God departed from her. Still we keep her, bird-fuddled, bird-brained, loyal bird that jackknifed, swivel-headed into the rigging of our ship, cursed by the arrow that out of nowhere returned feathers to waves and wings to God. I'm missing a page. Not the lyre, not the loom, but the bow made us aimless with its piercing. That's the page that's missing. So I've been studying Mandarin, particularly old Chinese poems, for a long time now. And that has led me to a study of the I Ching. And today's symbol is called relief. And the characters for the symbol, this is very interesting, the characters for the symbol for relief are a ox with horns and a hand holding a knife.
Oh.
Yeah. Super interesting. So I saw that today and it made me think of this poem because that symbol was one of the things that led me to this poem, which is about forgiveness, exploring some of the same difficulties that I think maybe we find in relief. Forgiveness as a shoulder. Oh, forgiveness, your ball and socket do not rotate in range. You do not elevate, depress, retract, or help me reach in my closet outfits I want to wear. You are not a pair of shoes I buy my daughter, one size up with room to grow. You are not my scapula, not triangular, not a trowel, not a shield, not a wing, not a blade. You are not even made of matter, or dark matter for that matter. Your substance is more like the missing string on a loner violin, absence changing the tune. The daughter who left her violin at home learns not to forget. At first forgiveness, you felt giddy like indigestion in the sternum. Then you jacked my scapula, internally rotated my shoulder until my collarbone jutted out the back of my neck and tore open my range. Clawing through the air of forgiveness, you broke out of me, determined to forgive or devour like a she-wolf on a full moon. So my husband is a first-generation Cuban American, and I've always been interested
with your brother.
in his parents' stories about Cuba and about their journey here. And I've written a few poems based on some of the details from their stories. Not so much biographical details, but things that become imaginative and become different in my mind. And I thought I would share one of those poems. I checked today, according to the UN High Council of Refugees, there are somewhere around 90 million people right now that have been forcefully displaced. So that's a big number. And this is my last poem. La Colmena. 1. The beehive, a floating disco ball, the hive overhead, overheard. At my feet, a fallen piece of honeycomb, bees pinned to the ground. People talk about the infinite and the smallest increments. Pollen coaxed away from the petal, one handwritten invitation at a time. Beneath my thumb, the honeycomb resists and releases onto my palm. The bees that fly away have marigolds on their breath. 2. At my grandmother's funeral, a spider repels from my aunt's chair. She travels down the corridor of funereal air, far more gracefully than I. 3. To hear the bees swarm, I put my head in a lilac bush, the not empty hive echoing the engine of a plane full of refugees. The crisp pleats of my mother-in-law's starched linen dress as she steps on the tarmac. Turmoil on her tongue. Was that honey? Thank you very much. And now for Erin. Yay! Too many things to do this one trip.
Pass me the tape. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Hello.
Just gonna get situated here really quickly. We should be good to go. Hi, everyone out here in Poetry Land and in the library. I'm Erin Batiste, and I want to give so much gratitude to Swim for having me here, to the Betsy Hotel for this beautiful way and care that they've hosted me here, and to my reader, Michael, for the stunning, stunning reading, and to everyone who's joining us here in person and in internet land. And I'm just gonna give kind of a general trigger warnings. There are racially sensitive material, violence, ideations, all the things. So drink some water. I'm gonna read start with the title poem from my chapbook, which is out of print, but exists in PDF form. Let me give a little, we do have a lovely audience member that does not need the trigger, all the triggers. I'm going to start with the title poem from my chapbook, which is out of print, but it feels apropos to the moments that we're all living through. I also just want to take a very quick moment of silence to my the current hometown of Brooklyn, and just send prayers and love and safety to everyone. I was flying when everything was happening, so I definitely want to have space for that. And the poem is, talking about how, well, I'll just read the poem. Glory to all fleeting things. Glory that my house is not burning. Glory that I survived the two that did. Glory to all the text messages he sent to my disconnected number. They are still unread. To the pastas I learned to make in his absence, to steaming cups of sweet tea, to tea time because my mother's mother raised me to stomach some Southern politenesses. Glory to the craftsman's real-life dollhouses which flourished my last neighborhood streets. Glory to the black and vintage that held me together when I buried Daddy at 20, Granny 10 years after, and everyone in between. To the possibility of extraterrestrials and other softer forms of life. If you are already here, glory to that too. To Paris, which cradled me in lights and pastries after Christopher was gone for good. Glory to all the butter. To little old-fashioned ladies, y'all the real ones, godmamas and play aunties and church sisters who favor your Testament old velvet red and 22 Berettas pearl tip to match your purse. To the queen palm, her feathery crowns shimmying against the sky. Glory that twins and suicides skipped my fragile jeans. Glory that my little sister stayed behind in the desert instead of me. To all the lapels, pleats, pinafores, pin tucking, petaled sleeves, silks, and satines for giving me good tailoring and romance. Glory to my womanly body, for decades have shaped us magnificent. To tourmaline, citrine, amethyst, selenite, I splay you all naked on the windowsill to recharge with each cycle of the moon. To the moon. Glory to the moon and its cycles, which remind me that nothing, not even my sadness, can last. I'm going to read a new poem, which is published, but it's very new, and it's my pandemic poem. I did not set out to write that, and never imagined I would be writing a pandemic poem, but here we are. Year 3. Reincarnation. Before everything was swept into one relentless spring, dueling for rolls of bounty in big box aisles, fearing death, overhearing a parking lot sneeze, trembling over headlines, hospitalizations, surges in new cases, new deaths. There was this. We were careless in cafes and sidewalks and mourning, palms all gripping the same slick express train pillars, the other steadying the greased pages of a used book. More than once, even I confessed to touching the lid of my lavender latte, unwashed fingertips, sweaty with the city and anticipation. So freely we gathered into bars, bookstores, and brunches just to listen to somebody else belt out all their private disappointment while we poured our work weeks over chocolate-flavored happy hour specials and sushi. We held each other's puffer coats and swampy scarves in bathroom lines, not pressed to distinguish if the stranger's face there beside us was flushed with fever or shyness. On good days, we locked eyes with every commuter, the escalator opposite ours, and sometimes even bared our teeth into some half-hearted attempt at connection. There was connection. Still, we flaked on birthdays, started to concoct excuses to get out of Christmas this year at the first hint of 3-day beach weekend, sun timely and reliably bright back then. Decades of, we promise the next holiday, lies stretched like miles. How could we have known that history was upon us? That history is, as it was always, alive and ravenous and doggedly plotting itself out. That we would be the ones whatever ones came afterwards would read about, would sneer or recoil at our collective horrors and toilet paper hoards, at the puzzling ways we made the plague fashion. We wrung our sanitized hands awash in worry at the news and news of news. How frail our loneliness. We hesitated cautiously, 6 feet apart, no longer staring into nor desiring eyes of other covered faces. How we would long for salty potato salad and polite weather talk and window shopping and wandering at festivals seeking solstice oils and geode pendants, declared non-essential now. How before we'd spend every 5-day cycle yearning to be returned to our small worlds and cramped apartments until we became reduced to them. Until all we had left was our shared universes online, one-dimensional as far as we could tell, where we crowd together, reincarnated here into brilliant millions of tiny pixelated frames. And the poem, which the internet land people won't be able to see, is set in Zoom squares.
Oh, wow.
So there's a trick, little parlor trick. Thank you for listening, and thank you for coming out to celebrate National Poetry Month. How special. I'm so honored to be able to close out the season. This one does have an instance of violence, a trigger warning, about halfway through. It's nothing extreme, but just so you're aware. And it has an epigraph. At Trader Joe's in South Pasadena, for Zelma Lee. What America did you have when Sharon quit polling his ferry and you got out on a smoking bank and stood watching the boat disappear on the black waters of Levy? Allen Ginsberg. With Safeway and Southern Avenue decades behind me, dear grandmother, I search for you in aisles of Trader Joe's instead. As I pause to savor Chipotle smoked salmon and sample a polite slice of plum, I swish the summery white around and wonder, would you scoff at their underseasoned handouts, too prideful to sip free offerings in communion cups? Would you ponder the entire countries pre-cooked and packaged into colorful plastics? With the bottled up beauty, curds, and curry simmer sauces shimmering in mason jars perplex your syrupy Texas tongue? Would your Sunday dress you'd saved for shopping shame you now, fail in the shadows of the thin, bleach-teethed blonde ladies clad in Lululemon athleisure, armed with affirmations and mantras of the day? Would you think them no different than the doctor's wife you'd cut down from a chandelier as a maid? This is what you learned white women to be: free to string themselves from crystal nooses, whose paler lives the golden age deemed worthy of being served and saved in silence, while you prayed away hollers from U-turned pickup trucks each time your dusk bus was delayed. With the shoppers' faces mirror those rear views, make you hurried, worried, this is a sundown town too. At checkout, my cashier appraises me and smiles, approves my weekly organics, fair trade coffee, wine? Would you dreamed in all your colored days this sanguine white girl working for me instead now? Exiting, I glimpse your high cheekbone reflection shining back in the sliding glass, and as I step outside to catch sunset, swear I hear humming. This little light of mine, let it shine, let it shine. Our silhouettes swallowed under a marmoladed sky. Thank you for listening. The best woman I've ever known. She would think this is wild, y'all. She'd be like, "You're doing what?" And Swim's mission is so dear to me and aligns with like my own work and centering femmes and women and giving voice to people, and so that's why a lot of the readings tonight are very femme-centric. And so I wanted to share this poem, which has 2 epigraphs, like why not up the game? So I'll read those first. Future dated eulogy for the carefree. I ask no monument proud and high to arrest the gaze of the passers-by. All that my yearning spirit craves is bury me not in a land of slaves. That's Frances Ellen Watkins Harper from Bury Me in a Free Land. I am not tragically colored. I am too busy sharpening my oyster knife. Zora Neale Hurston, who was largely a Floridian. Make me a flowery grave, embellish it full of crowns of dandelions, daisies, pink peonies, pretty paisley printed summer dresses with frilly lace and all the lipstick radiating red. Black men and blonde women deemed me too dark to wear. While I am being buried, let no one speak words like strong, brave, or independent over me. Please leave my obituary free of all hard-sounding adjectives, heavy verbs, and too many vowels. I'll carry everyone else's issues and egos and babies next time. Remember me wondrous in younger years when I blushed over being asked first to prom, how I spent teenage hours pondering nail polishes too. Render me that gentle girl sweet songs and dreams were made of. Fashion me a soft name filled with long syllables, one that translates into a constellation, or maybe one of those fickle, mythical goddesses of spring. An appellation which escapes my lover's full lips lightly. Remark instead on how my toothy grin showed bright against sun-tinted terracotta skin, how my freckles glowed. Swoon over the way my pillowy curls danced wild with the Santa Anas. Pray, leave me lavish and lush and breakable this once. I have 2 more, and this one's gonna be long. But the spirit is calling me to read it. So, and this is a newer poem that was just released in Michigan Quarterly Reviews, Why We Write issue at the end of the year. So gratitude to them also for holding space and supporting this work. As a Black woman, not writing after Anne Boyer. As a Black woman, when I am not writing a memoir. I am not writing a memoir because memoirs are written by white women. I am not writing a memoir because memoirs are for white women who've overcome compelling odds and adolescent trauma. I am not writing a memoir because memoirs are written by white women on roads to redemption. I am not writing a memoir because memoirs are for discontented white women who lose themselves in domesticity and middle-class malaise, depression, vanilla grade anxiety disorder, opioid addictions, who then go on to nurse said selves gallivanting on new age destination vacations and big ticket bucket list luxury curated retreats funded by their 0% interest American Express credit cards, frequent flyer miles, and big advances on their future best-selling book to box office memoirs. I am not writing a memoir about the nuances of writing memoirs under crushing capitalism. I am not writing a memoir about my casual encounters with the kaleidoscope of mysterious, rugged, bearded men bearing bad tattoos and seductive accents during my far-flung adventures overseas. I am not writing a memoir about all the famous male poets who tried to fuck me. Most of them failed anyway. As a Black woman, when I am not writing a raw, tragic, but timely breakout debut with blurbs from tenured professors and award-winning authors. The memoir that I am not writing will not be lauded as a harrowing account, nor an unflinching, inspired, in-your-face, fierce and triumphant retelling chock full of perfectly timed hilarity, wit, and sass. My fresh, unapologetic perspective will not expand my platform or connect my work with a wider readership. The provocative, page-turning memoir that I am not writing will not score Oprah's book club endorsement or receive any critically acclaimed reviews. I will not have a say-so, nod, nor final sign-off on casting the relatable but slightly more attractive actress who will land the starring role of the glossier, memoired me. I will not collect screenwriter credits, adaptation credits, producer credits, or director credits, my name not etched in cursive, gracing the backside of a crew chair. I will not be permitted to visit the set, not provided a trailer adjacent to the cast, not allowed to hobnob and rub elbows while partaking in craft services, eating extravagant catering amongst the sleeveless supporting roles and starving extras. No one will indulge me in the memoir that I am not writing. I will not be flown out worldwide to appear at festival premieres, not greenlit to film feel-good morning segments on network talk shows. I will not dispense any positively charged soliloquies to in-studio audiences. No high vibrational, click-baitable sound bites like transparent acceptance and radical empathy shall escape elusively from my lips and perforate pre-recorded or live air. I will not be booked for TED Talks, commentaries, or keynotes, not guest featured with hot takes on wildly popular pop culture podcasts, not even given the opportunity to dole out cheeky contemporary experiences from my online column turned viral vlog. Not one soul will deep dive into my ethos, morning pages, writing practice, or craft for the memoir that I am not writing. As a Black woman, when I am not writing a memoir about the writing of memoirs and accessibility of who gets to write one and why not. I am not writing a memoir condemning exclusionary memoirs. I am not writing a memoir about my own lack of agency and overall representation in the memoir genre. I am not writing a scathing second memoir exposing the glaring disparities and dark sides of the publishing industry and subsequent backlash and blacklisting from my first memoir that I am not writing. I am not an urgent and necessary voice who needs to be heard now more than ever. The memoir that I am not writing does not transcend anything. I am not writing about the time I took a 14-month 13 country, 33 city extended trip, back when I turned 30 and my job ended and my lease ended and my relationship ended and my grandma died and I almost died too from grief. So I sold everything I'd owned and bought plane tickets. I still refer to that era as my happy nervous breakdown. I did not find myself. One more. Thanks for hanging in there. I hope everybody is hydrated and getting your best National Poetry Month life. Sorry, I'm not great at banter, y'all. I just gotta read the things. They're too long for me to talk in between. We'll be here all night. This is my last one. Thank you again to Swim and to the Betsy and to Michael and to all of you beautiful folk out here through the airwaves and in real life that came out to support. It just means the world that I have support for this manuscript and for my work. And this is, I will do a little banter. This is from a series called Appellation, which also I think the etymology means a calling, but also a name. So I write with the initial S. And so I'm interrogating various speakers or personas, if you will, with names that start with S. So this one is Salome, and there were 3 Salomes, but 2 were unnamed, as women often were in the Bible. So this is kind of representing all 3 of them, and it has just a short epigraph. Appellation, Salome. Then I have done well in not bringing forth. And Mary begat Salome, and Salome begat, and Salome begat, and Salome begat. Say you are born this time a virgin, one of 3. Say you start a believer. You are pious, dutiful, suited to follow. Your name follows your mother. Your second name follows peace. Say you are anointed, your spices anoint chosen men. But let's say you suffer selfishness, you, daughter, choosing only to anoint yourself. Let's say this life you are indulgent. Say you do follow his dying orders. So say you dance and devour every pasture. Say that nothing will ever fill you. Say then you turn to gorge your own sorrow. Then say you feast upon their shame. You are not sorry for your loneliness. It is true. You are alone. You are lustful in your aloneness. Say you are naked, not nameless. Say there was no bitterness found in your body, only your one withered hand which held yourself. Say you never believed them. Say you were a vessel which held only your own glorious sins. Thank you for listening, everyone.
Thank you so much. Let's give it up again, please, for Michael de Armas and Erin Batiste. That was such an extraordinary reading. Thank you so much for gifting us your incredibly moving and inspiring poetry. Thank you. Thus concludes our 6th year, our 6th season at the Betsy. Well, there was a pandemic year, but I'm just gonna kind of forget. I don't even know what happened. But our 6th year, so thank you so much to you for being with us, you who are here, you who are out there. Thank you for supporting Swim, for coming to the readings, for checking us out, for sending us your work. We wouldn't exist without you, and we would not exist without the Betsy Hotel. So, merci mille fois. I don't even know how else to say it. There are not enough thank yous. For the Betsy Hotel, to Deborah, to Jonathan, for their relentless support of the arts, especially the literary arts. It's baked into their DNA. And everyone who works here shares that ethos, right? From the men who hold the door open and welcome you to the hotel, to the valet, to the person who checks you in, to the bartender. It's really phenomenal. It's the only place on earth, I think, that I've been to, that I've heard of, that loves poets. So we really have found a beautiful home here. And well, last but not least, I do want to thank the women of swim who are everything. Two of whom are here tonight, Caridad and Jen, and to Alex who's out there, and to our readers who work tirelessly and around the clock to do the work that we do. So thank you to our team. It takes all of us, and it takes all of us every day. We say that, our journalists swim every day. We too are swimming every single day. We're at our jobs and we're texting each other, and it's a nonstop conversation that we're always having to bring the work of women out to support women writers. That's really it. That's all we're about. So thank you. Thank you to all of us. Over the summer, we take a little break. The reading series ends, and then in July and August, we go on a publishing hiatus so that we can be with our families and regroup, really, and trying to do some back office. Just July? Okay, my managing editor says just July. So it's a brief hiatus. But during that month, we regroup, we see what we have intended to, we work on fundraising and all of those things. During that time, the residency application will be open. So if you poets would like to have a residency at the Betsy, which is pretty phenomenal, please check out our posts. We'll let you know when the application is open again. If you're here, I know that you're following us on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. I think that's it. We have not gone to TikTok yet. I will not go to TikTok. I cannot go to TikTok. You have to draw the line somewhere. But check that out, and also check out, we have a project, I guess you could say, happening all of April called Sing the Body, and it's a project focused on changing the way we see ourselves, in a nutshell. Go to our website, you'll see these poems hopefully in different locations around Miami, and we're gonna have another reading in about a month just to celebrate that project, which we're putting on in collaboration with FIU. So I think that's all the swim announcements. Thank you again for everything, for tuning in, for supporting. We love you so much. See you in the fall.